The story begins with a club announcement that leaves a student wondering how he got into this mess. A girl demands that he play house with her right now. He reflects on how their childhood games have seemingly taken a suggestive turn as he meets more girls. Daiki returns to his hometown to start his high school career. He details how he lived in Tokyo for years before returning to his birthplace. Though he will miss his city friends, he looks forward to reuniting with his childhood friend. He recalls Kyou, a girl 1 year older than him who was his constant companion as a child. He looks for the club Kyou belongs to, hoping his high school life will be worthwhile. He finds the Imitation Games Club and prepares to enter. Inside, he finds a girl making explosion noises while playing with toys. The girl stops her game and turns toward the door. They both yell in shock upon seeing one another. The girl frantically explains that her club is unofficial and asks if he is there to shut it down. They suddenly recognize each other as their old childhood friends. Daiki stands in silence as he processes the encounter. Kyou looks at the man with a wide, blushing smile. Kyou mentions how she cannot believe someone still calls her by that name and starts laughing strangely. Daikun tells her to wait a second and tries to create some space between them. Daikun thinks about how he imagined Kyou to be a cute girl and refuses to accept what he sees. Daikun feels like his idealized vision of her has been completely destroyed. Daikun says he has the wrong person and tries to leave while Kyou wonders what is happening. Kyou asks if he remembers her and identifies herself as his old playmate, which he eventually recognizes. Daikun cries and bleeds from shock while asking Kyou what happened to her. Kyou welcomes Daikun to her club and greets him again. Daikun says it has been a long time but notes that he has a lot of questions. Kyou agrees that she has changed a lot since they were kids and tries to figure out where to start her story. Kyou describes how her loneliness after he moved led to her missing school and losing her social skills. Kyou says she feels like someone like her shouldn't have started a club, but Daikun tells her she is wrong. Daikun feels like the information Kyou D is very heavy. Daikun wonders if his move was really the cause of her current state and tries to convince himself it is not possible. Kyou wonders if the current situation is actually her own fault. Kyou explains that the room used to belong to the drama club, and they gave her their props after they disbanded. Daikun asks what the Imitation Games Club is all about. Kyou says the club is unofficial, but she wants to find people who want to take things back. Daikun is confused by her desire to take something back. Kyou explains that the goal is to reclaim the youth they lost as children by playing the games they could not play back then. She wants the club to be a place to return to childlike heart. Kyou declares that this is the essence of her club. Daikun asks if she would rather enjoy her actual time as a high school student. The two stand among the boxes and tables in the middle of the storage room. Kyou shouts that she is settling a score with the past because she cannot enjoy her youth right now. Daikun thinks she is remarkably forward-looking about being so backward-looking. Kyou admits she is bad at talking to people and is always alone, so she hoped someone with the same goal would show up. Daikun notes that she seems to be talking to him just fine. Kyou wonders if she is comfortable because she sees him as someone beneath her who admires her. Daikun feels like her personality has completely changed. Kyou thanks Daikun for coming to join the club. Daikun immediately tells her that he is not actually joining. Kyou is shocked and breaks into tears while asking him why he will not join. Daikun says he cannot join an unofficial club and tries to leave. Kyou clings to his leg and begs him to stay for at least a month for the sake of their past. Kyou yells that a woman from his memories is begging him. Daikun thinks she is just a clingy woman. Kyou begs him to stay for just one day. Daikun remains silent while thinking about his past memories of her as a child. Daikun agrees to stay for only today. Kyou celebrates and prepares to announce the first club activity immediately. Daikun asks why they are playing house while dressed in a doctor's coat and stethoscope. Kyou lies down and corrects him, stating it is make-believe and that he is the doctor while she is the patient. Kyou argues that make-believe represents the peak of their youth and must be done first, even though Daikun thinks they should do something else. Kyou insists this game is essential for the club because it is the top-ranked activity for kindergartners, while Daikun wonders if she actually consulted children. Daikun goes along with the game and asks what the problem is today. Kyou says she only has 3 years to live, and Daikun decides to start the exam by checking her heart area. Kyou opens her jacket and asks if he's going to check her heart. The two of them stare at each other in stunned silence. Daikun nervously suggests checking her arm instead, but Kyou tells him it is okay since she invited him. Kyou prepares to make another suggestion. Kyou says checking her heart is too embarrassing and offers her stomach as an alternative. Kyou lifts her shirt as Daikun reacts with shock. Daikun uses the stethoscope on her stomach and Kyou lets out a loud shout. Daikun tells her to stop making weird noises, but Kyou explains that the tool was unexpectedly cold. Kyou suddenly demands that he switch to a physical exam or palpation, leaving Daikun confused. Daikun realizes that palpation requires him to use his hand. Kyouko tells him to just get on with it and he eventually agrees to proceed. Daikun announces he is starting the physical exam. Kyouko lifts her shirt to expose her stomach and gives him permission to begin. Daikun reaches out with both hands toward Kyouko's bare stomach to start the palpation. Daikun places his hands on Kyouko's stomach. She lets out a small grunt as he begins the examination. As he touches her skin, Daikun thinks about how different a girl feels compared to a guy, noting that she is warm, soft, and smooth. Daikun tries to dismiss his inappropriate thoughts by reminding himself this is just a club activity. He decides to keep going for a little longer. Daikun presses down and asks if she feels any pain in that area. Kyouko tells him that she feels fine. Daikun tries pressing on a different spot and asks if it hurts there instead. Kyouko says she does not know. Daikun accidentally pushes Kyouko over and she shouts as she falls backward onto the table. The situation causes Daikun to remember a similar incident that happened between them in the past. In the memory, a younger Daikun apologizes to a young Kyouko and asks if she is okay after an accident. Young Kyouko runs away to tell Daikun's mother that he pushed her down while he yells that it was only an accident. In the present, Kyouko lies flat on the table with her shirt open and her chest exposed from the fall. Daikun panics and asks Kyouko if she is alright after falling down. Kyouko covers her face in embarrassment and threatens to tell his mother about what happened today unless he joins the club. Kuroya is visibly shaken by Kyouko's sudden threat to tell his mother about the incident. As he walks away, Kuroya sighs and wonders what kind of trouble he has gotten himself into by joining the Imitation Games Club. Kuroya eventually gives in to the pressure and officially agrees to join the club's activity. In the hallway, Kuroya encounters a student from the track team who is busy stretching. The sight causes Kuroya to jump back in shock as he is caught completely off guard. A girl in a tracksuit takes a drink from her water bottle and asks Kuroya if he wants to play games with her. The girl introduces herself as Komugi Hata from the track and field club and apologizes for the unsightly scene he just witnessed. Kuroya introduces himself and Komugi asks him if he is a member of the nearby club. She recognizes him as the one playing the male lead role, which he confirms is correct. Kuroya explains that the club president said the group is for reclaiming one's youth, which surprises Komugi. Komugi starts muttering to herself about youth and lewd things, leaving Kuroya feeling confused. She becomes very flustered and insists that she is only curious about the club rather than being deeply interested. Kuroya asks Hata if she wants a trial membership and she wonders if they should check with the president first. She enthusiastically accepts the invitation to join the club for a trial period. Kuroya leads Komugi back to Kyouko and announces that they have someone who wants a trial membership for the Imitation Games Club. Kyouko is stunned that an applicant has appeared and wonders if lewd youth activities are actually starting. Komugi feels happy that there are 3 members now and believes the club will survive, though she is mistakenly convinced it is a lewd organization. Years ago, Komugi had a sexual awakening after finding her brother's manga and began interpreting every action as something provocative. While taking a break from the track team, she saw Kyouko and Kuroya playing their make-believe game and viewed it as a public display of lust. She decided to join the Imitation Games Club so she could engage in lewd behavior, legally calling the journey her lewd grimmage. Komugi excitedly asks Kyouko what kind of play they have planned for today, but Kyouko is puzzled by her choice of words. Realizing she needs to act like a wholesome girl, Komugi quickly tells Kyouko that nothing is wrong when questioned about her behavior. Kuroya asks if it is alright for her to leave the track team, while Kyouko wonders if they should postpone the session since Komugi is wearing a mask. Komugi insists she is fine but secretly knows she only wears the mask to hide her perverted grin and joined the track team to vent her frustration. Kyouko asks her to sign a long set of trial membership papers, and Komugi agrees while asking what activity they will start with. Kyouko decides they will play a game of Daruma-san ga Koranda, and suggests a punishment where whoever moves dies, making Kuroya wonder if this is a death game. Kyouko admits that she has never actually played the game before, which leaves Kuroya shocked and Komugi curious about her choice. Komugi points out that it is a very common childhood game, and Kyouko nervously agrees that she knows. Komugi remains skeptical and feels certain that Kyouko must have played it at least once in her life. Kuroya tells Kyouko to stop because her lack of a childhood is too depressing and asks her what she actually did while growing up. Kuroya explains to Hata-senpai that Kyouko has no concept of what a normal childhood youth is like. He tells her that this lack of experience is the entire reason Kyouko created the Imitation Games Club. Komugi realizes the club is about role-playing childhood experiences, while Kyouko wallows in self-pity about her empty past. Kuroya brings the focus back to the game of Daruma-san ga Koranda, and Komugi agrees to start right away despite her confusion. Kuroya looks over at Komugi and suggests they first decide who is going to be the seeker for the game. Komugi reaches for her zipper and begins to take off her tracksuit jacket. Kuroya stares in total disbelief as Komugi reveals the true size of her chest underneath her t-shirt. His mind starts racing as he questions how such a large chest could possibly be stored inside a tracksuit. Komugi notices him staring and tells him it is embarrassing, prompting a flustered Kuroya to turn around and apologize. The group stands ready to begin the activity as Kyouko prepares to take her place as the seeker. Kyouko explains she's wearing a Daruma headband found in a costume case, while Komugi insists her mask is part of the club training. Kyouko turns her back to the others and begins the rhythmic chant to start the game. Kuroya and Komugi both bolt forward at the same time to gain as much ground as possible. As they run side by side, their hands accidentally collide and their pinky fingers interlock. Both Kuroya and Komugi are struck with immediate shock as they realize they are now accidentally holding hands. Kyouko calls out that Hada-san moved and Komugi laughs nervously as she gets caught. Kuroya apologizes, saying the accident was his fault, while Komugi tells him it is okay and asks if he is alright. Kuroya notices that Komugi is sweating an abnormal amount, which catches her by surprise. Komugi uses her gym uniform to wipe away the sweat while thinking about how rugged and bony a man's hand feels. Watching from the front, Kyouko thinks the two of them are doing lewd things as Komugi asks to play the game one more time. Komugi slaps her cheeks and tells herself to stay focused as she prepares for the next round. Kyouko yells for them to go and the group restarts the game of Daruma-san ga Koranda. Kuroya looks over in surprise as they move forward once more. During the rush, Kuroya's hand accidentally lands on Komugi's upper leg because the space is so narrow. Komugi reacts with a start as she feels the unexpected contact from Kuroya. Kuroya becomes extremely flustered and shuts his eyes tight in embarrassment. He apologizes for his hand being in such a weird place, but Komugi says it is fine since they are in a cramped spot and cannot move. Komugi thinks to herself about how lewd this childhood game has become while Kuroya struggles with his nerves. She wonders if she will actually be able to keep up with how quickly things are developing between them. Kyouko resets the game and announces that she's going to start the chant again. Komugi worries that the club might be too much for her to handle as her sweat continues to pour out while standing behind Kuroya. Komugi determines to use her track club leg strength to quickly reach Kyouko, though she realizes she is currently being outpaced by Kuroya. Kyouko gives the signal to go, and Kuroya lunges forward with Komugi following closely in the narrow space. As they scramble forward, Komugi's chest presses firmly against Kuroya's back with significant force. Kuroya is overwhelmed by the incredible sensation on his back, while Kyouko turns to look at them with suspicion. Kyouko notices that both Kuroya and Komugi are trembling intensely from the awkward physical proximity. Kyouko jokes that a seeker could win by never starting the chant, but Kuroya calls it a foul and tells her to just start already. Kuroya insists that she start the chant quickly or else, so Kyouko agrees to move on to the next round. Kuroya thinks to himself that he simply cannot withstand the physical pressure coming from Komugi. Komugi tells Kuroya that she does not think she can handle the situation anymore and apologizes. Kyouko begins the chant as Kuroya and Komugi start their dash across the room. The game continues syllable by syllable while the two runners close the distance toward the seeker. Kuroya and Komugi sprint side by side as the chant reaches its penultimate syllables. Kyouko finishes the final syllable of the chant and prepares to turn around. Kuroya's momentum carries him face first into Kyouko's chest, as Komugi reaches out toward them from behind. Komugi groans in pain while the three club members recover on the floor after their sudden collision. Kuroya lies face down on the ground while Komugi stares at the back of his blazer in complete shock. Komugi realizes that her sweat has left distinct breast prints on Kuroya's back, and immediately asks if the others are okay. Kuroya is completely overwhelmed by the recent physical contact and fears he might actually die from the experience. Kuroya begs for mercy on the floor while Kyouko wonders if she should report these activities to his mother. Later, Kuroya encounters a woman in a suit in the hallway and offers her a casual greeting. The woman stands with her hands on her hips and asks Kuroya if he is a member of the club. Kuroya nervously confirms his membership while trying to figure out who the woman is. She asks if the room used to belong to the drama club, and Kuroya explains that the president borrowed it for the imitation games club. The woman asks if the club is official, forcing Kuroya to admit they lack an advisor and enough members. She looms over him and asks if they are using the school facility without permission. Kuroya trips and falls to the ground, causing a small box that looks like cigarettes to slide across the tiles. The woman realizes the box actually contains candy cigarettes, which leaves her staring in silence. Kuroya bursts into tears and explains that his lunch was not enough, so he brought the candy along to eat. Kuroya watches the woman walk away and wonders what is wrong with her. Kuroya brings the woman into the club room and hands her a cup while she thanks him. The woman takes a drink and admits she was trying to be a cool teacher despite her current state. Kuroya observes her and accepts that she truly is a teacher. She claims to have memorized every student's name and face before calling him Shiroya-kun. Kuroya corrects her by telling her his actual name as she realizes her studying method failed. The teacher's attention is suddenly caught by something on the floor. She asks about some old-fashioned pencils and beads that the president brought to the club room. The sight of a sticker book and iron beads fills her with nostalgia as she gets excited over them. When Kuroya notes her excitement, she quickly becomes embarrassed and claims the items shouldn't be in school. The teacher prepares to depart and gives Kuroya a final instruction. She holds up the candy cigarettes and tells him to keep what happened today a secret. Kuroya gives his word while starting to eat a piece of the candy. The teacher shows off where she hid the candy in her jacket while Kuroya thinks the snack is lukewarm. She begins to cough, suddenly prompting Kuroya to ask if she is alright. Kyouko stops in the corridor and wonders who else is inside the room with Dai-kun. Mitsuno-san complains that Kuroya gave her too much to drink at once, but he reminds her that she was the one who told him to do it. Kyouko walks into the room and finds Kuroya standing over the teacher while she is still coughing on the floor. Kyouko yells at the pair and tells them not to turn her club room into a room for inappropriate activities. Mitsuno-san composes herself and addresses Kyouko by her name, while Kuroya frantically explains that he was only serving her tea. The teacher falls into a deep doze and offers a profound apology for her earlier rude behavior, leaving Kuroya stunned by the sudden shift in attitude. Mitsuno-san stands back up and explains that she was just curious about the club while apologizing for intruding uninvited. Kamugi is completely bewildered by the mention of a sex room and wonders what Kuroya and the teacher were actually doing. Kyouko admits things have become chaotic, but says she does not mind while Kamugi asks if the group is going to do it together. Mitsuno-san asks if it is okay for her to join the activity for the day and Kyouko enthusiastically agrees. Kuroya walks down an empty school hallway and thinks that playing hide and seek inside the building is exciting. Kyouko explains the rules of the game, naming Dai-kun as the seeker after he lost a round of rock, paper, scissors. Kuroya enters a classroom and notes that it is empty as he begins his search for the others. He continues down the hallway, keeping a close eye out for any sign of his club members. Kuroya spots a person hiding behind a window curtain and smirks as he approaches their position. He tells the person behind the curtain that their legs are clearly visible and calls it an easy place to find. Kuroya shouts that he knows his senior is behind the curtain, noting to himself that she is not moving at all. Kuroya finds a terrifying anatomical model wearing a tracksuit behind the curtain and screams in absolute horror. He flees the room and sprints down the hallway while continuing to shout in fear. Kamugi giggles as she clings tightly to Kyouko, both of them hiding together. Kyouko laughs at how easily Kuroya fell for her perfect plan to distract him. Inside a cramped locker, Kamugi apologizes for sweating so much in the heat while her companion tells her that it is fine. Both girls shout in shock when the door to their hiding spot is suddenly thrown open. Kuroya finds Kyouko and Kamugi on the floor together and asks them what happened. Kuroya decides to move on while Kyouko continues to giggle about their prank. Kuroya walks alone through the halls, wondering where the teacher could be hiding now that she is the only one left. He stops outside a classroom when he notices someone sitting at his personal desk. Kuroya watches a girl with braids and glasses eating a snack and wonders why she is sitting there. He looks at the specific pile of candy on the desk and realizes that the student is actually the teacher. Kuroya announces that he found her and mocks her for disguising herself as a student, causing her to hang her head. Mitsuno begins to cry as she realizes she is 28 years old and dressed like a child, which Kuroya finds hard to believe. Kuroya suggests that the teacher was just taking the game seriously, but she frantically tells him that is not the case. Mitsuno admits that she actually forgot her skirt in the club room, leaving Kuroya to wonder how such a thing could happen. The teacher panics and asks Kuroya what she should do while he realizes the implications of her missing clothes. She starts crying and fears that she will be fired and her life will be over if anyone finds out about her situation. Mitsuno begs Kuroya to go get her a change of clothes while he reminds her of the instructions she gave him earlier. As they walk, Kuroya asks why she is following him so closely, and she explains that she cannot be left alone. Mitsuno reminds him of their secret alliance, prompting Kuroya to agree to cover her front as much as he can. Kuroya hands her his backpack to use as a shield for her front, and she smiles while thanking him. Kyouko notices that the time limit for hide and seek has expired and begins to wonder where the others have gone. Kuroya lets out a sigh of relief as they navigate the hallway while Kyouko continues her search nearby. Mr. Anehara, the student guidance counselor, suddenly stops Kuroya and asks if he has seen Agami-sensei. Kuroya denies seeing her while Mitsuno cowers behind him, though the counselor notes that the person behind him appears to have a very short skirt. Mitsuno panics and asks Kuroya what they should do, and he tells her that she needs to hide herself better. The lack of a skirt is revealed as Mitsuno tries to stay hidden behind Kuroya while he attempts to lead her away. Kuroya is confused by a strange lawn-like sensation against his back while Mitsuno remains pressed up against him. Another teacher arrives with printouts for the counselor who decides to head back to the staff room and tells Kuroya to follow him. Kuroya turns back to tell Mitsuno that the coast is clear, but he suddenly stops when he notices a strange object in his hand. Kuroya lets out a sharp gasp as he realizes a pair of underwear has slipped out and is now dangling from his fingers. Mitsuno collapses onto the ground in complete despair, terrified that she will be fired for indecency while Kuroya looks on in shock. Mitsuno looks up at Kuroya with a tear-streaked face and makes him promise to keep today's events a total secret, which he quickly agrees to do.